All right, so what we're going to walk through today is we're going to give a quick overview of the HP Poly and NUWAVE partnership, go through some security highlights, and then dive into our voice and headset review, and then ultimately what's in it for you. Because in the channel, we do know that it's important for you to actually get some value out of the partnership and where we are today. So a lot of you have seen this statistic before. So 75% of IT leaders are measured on employee experience. That's what we are seeing. HP as a whole has done a lot of studies with Frost and Sullivan, and we've talked with our customers, we've talked with analysts within the environment, and as collaboration as a whole, a lot of our customers are measured on that experience, that not only that they are delivering to their customers, but also to their internal employees. Right, so it is really important for us to have the best experience. We just saw a little bit of that today, right? We're all used to working at home, and we're used to our setup at the desk at home or in the office. And then when we get into a different environment and we're using different systems, like I mentioned, Microsoft updated their webinar platform, and now I'm trying to use it and learn it on the fly as well. So technology is constantly changing, and we have to be able to adapt to that. So that's where the NUWAVE and the HP story comes into play. So let me hang on just one second. Here we go. So how did we get here? So HP from a whole, a lot of you know us back in the day from a Plantronics or Polycom perspective. So we were first to deliver some superior headsets and phones within the industry back in the 60s and then into the 70s and 80s when we got bought by Polycom. And then we went ahead and merged in 2019 to form Poly, which brought the voice side, meaning all of our phones and our headsets together. And we were a powerhouse in the early 2000s. And then COVID happened, obviously, so that ignited our AV footprint, as well as the need for headsets and that superior experience at home. And then what happened was HP saw the value of the hybrid story. They knew that we were never going to go back to the way we used to work before. And we're all experiencing that today. We have a lot of our customers either have a 2 or 3 day in office mandate. There could be some that aren't doing that, and they're strictly letting the employee determine whether or not they want to come into the office or not, or they're entirely remote. So HP saw that as an opportunity for them to embrace our technology and bring it to market. So now we have this complete HP One story, which is really empowering, because not only do our partners such as yourselves and NUWAVE support the collaboration footprint, you now have the ability to service your customers end to end, whether it be from compute, from the PC, the desktop, the displays, the keyboards and mice. And then our spot is obviously collaboration. And that's where we team holistically with NUWAVE. And NUWAVE is definitely a leader when it comes to understanding what your customer is looking to achieve from moving, let's say, from a unified communications on-prem environment and into that unified communication in the cloud. So whether that be with Zoom or with Microsoft, HP Poly can support that. So we can help support and deliver those endpoints that are really needed for you and your customers to accelerate and ultimately utilize that UCaaS platform. All right.
And so, Denise, if I can elaborate, a lot of people within the channel, we're trying to educate as we continue to grow our business model. A lot of people don't really understand that we are very, very heavily invested in devices. And I know in our industry over the years, they said the devices are going to go away, they're disappearing. And sure, there might be a downtick in them, but there's a reason why there's HP Polys of the world still selling product. So we have our own department of device, and actually Angela Branton actually heads that up. As one of our directors supporting those devices. So just as our channel has our our regional sales directors, we also have a complete division for just devices and devices only. So I kind of wanted to state that to your point, because a lot of people just thinks of us as a software as a solution, which we are, don't get me wrong, but we also can enhance that experience with our device department as well.
Exactly. And that's a huge plus for NUWAVE, as you mentioned, because at the end of the day, the magic happens with the software, right? We know the software is the engine behind it, but it cannot provide that end user experience without that end device. So if you don't have
Correct.
the best in class phone, right, or the headset to be able to block out any noise that's happening around them, then the user experience is only as good as that last mile, right? We've all heard that last mile terminology, right? And that's where the endpoint, meaning to your point, the device is truly helps to make that magic happen. And great point. And with that, right, with AI entering into the world now, and everybody is concerned around security, that is more than ever important in this world that we're living today. We see it all the time. We're hearing it in the headlines. You know, few years ago, 5 years ago, was always about, oh my gosh, when is my organization going to get attacked by a cyber attack? Now it's not if, it's when. We all know that organizations today understand the necessity of security. And if you look at this slide specifically, these are stats that we did, like I said, achieved from Foster and Sullivan and a lot of our industry analysts when it comes to security. That security is now the very top important reason why companies are looking at HP and NUWAVE and others in the industry that can support them from a security perspective. So what's really exciting when you're working with HP is we do have a very robust portfolio of devices, but what's really exciting is we are going to actually support your customers from a security perspective. So HP is committed to security, and we have what we call HP Wolf Security. So if you're looking at this slide, the endpoint security is really important. Yes, we've got security built into all of our PCs, our workstations. We have now extended that HP Wolf Security beyond that. So it's in our phones, it's in all of our video devices. It's also in line with our headsets. So it helps to give that extra layer of protection when it comes to security so that you can rest assured that your customers and partners are delivering a very secure device portfolio that's going to play within Zoom or Microsoft in those environments. And you're going to get a copy of this deck. So you will be able to attach and click on the links that are there to give you the full white papers from a security perspective when it comes to our headsets.
Okay, and that was my next question, to educate the channel. So there are white pages that backs up our statements that we're making today based on the HP Poly security. So, and I know when we start talking security, and I know some of the accounts that our channel works with, right? You know, they're very security driven, just as we are on the ISO side of our software piece, which we have to provide them our certificates. And I'm assuming, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, Denise, but that HP Wolf Security, the white pages would be that foundation for a customer that's looking for, instead of just a single page deck, will provide me the white papers that they can keep on file for their security factors. Would that be pretty much accurate?
Yes, absolutely. Okay. Exactly. And then if your partners do have customers that need a deeper dive into the security, I can actually work with you, Travis, to be able to arrange those meetings with our security team.
Perfect.
So rest
Awesome.
assured, we've got the subject matter experts on our security side that is more than happy to meet with your customers to go deeper into the security discussion. But the main point here is all of our devices, including like supply chain, that's important as well. Where are these products being made, right? Those are questions that customers may ask, and rest assured that HP is committed to making sure that our devices are built in very secured locations as well.
Awesome. Perfect. Thank you, Denise.
No, you're welcome. All right, so now moving on, we're going to go into actually the portfolio. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. But I've made it very simple for you to understand. One thing to keep in mind is as you are speaking with your customers and they do have questions about the Poly portfolio, NUWAVE does have all the resources needed to help support those discussions. They will actually also bring in our team on the Poly side to serve as a subject matter expert with your customer. So you don't have to know all of this, entirely and be able to pitch the story end to end. Just know a little bit to be dangerous and then lean on those subject matter experts, which is myself and Travis and our team that can then carry on the conversation. But as you know, when you're working with these customers and closing these deals, you do need the team of experts all at the table together. So here's a great overview of our Poly CCX family. So you'll notice that this is our native application and open SIP line. So for customers that are moving to Zoom and they want to embrace that native Zoom experience from their application, the CCX line is going to support that. From a Teams perspective, Microsoft Teams Voice is certified on all of our CCX line. So if you have a customer that is moving, let's say, off of Avaya and onto Teams or onto Zoom, and they want that native voice experience, the CCX line is going to be the best line for that. And you'll see here how I've easily explained which lines fits that need. Travis, as you can see, so a common area phone is a CCX 350 all the way to an executive.
So now, Denise, when you refer to a native application, can you dig a little bit deeper on that term and why this is important within our industry compared to maybe some other devices that you work with within the HP umbrella?
Absolutely. So natively, as you know, when you're having a customer that decides to move to the cloud, so they said, you know what, I'm going to move off of my PBX and I am definitely going to go move into the cloud. And I want to utilize all of the rich features that, let's say, Zoom has to offer. So if you're familiar with the Zoom solution, they have Zoom AI Companion, they have Zoom Chat, they have Zoom Meetings. And what's really exciting is even with Microsoft as well, with Microsoft Voice and Microsoft Teams Rooms, all of their application runs on the cloud. What's really nice with the CCX line is you can actually utilize and access all of those features that those cloud providers provide right from the device.
Gotcha.
So we know that you can access it from your desktop, right, from your PC. Now you can actually access it right from the phone. So you could take a meeting from there. You could have your calendar loaded up on there, which makes it really nice.
And you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think what we found and what we really promote here with the channel is the native community. Not to steer away from other Poly solutions, but I have found, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is it's also a better deployment experience. Where it is that native back, where that open SIP, where it's, I don't want to necessarily call it zero touch provisioning, but it's almost to zero touch provisioning, right?
Yes.
There might be some functionality keys that need to be programmed, but that's the reason why, and I want to make this very transparent on the call with our channel, is we as NUWAVE, if you reach out to Angela or one of your sales directors, whomever supporting your account, we are going to recommend based on the customer and what their needs are, because we will identify and discover that more than likely we will be moving forward with the native application CCX products.
Correct. Spot on. Okay. You're right. So with that zero touch provisioning, it makes it very easy for customers to deploy it, right, with the help of NUWAVE. So they can. You load up the MAC addresses onto whether it be the Teams portal or the Zoom portal. And when they plug in that phone, it's actually going to automatically register to that cloud provider automatically, right? So you're right. It makes it so much easier to provision these phones for your customers, especially clients that have several branches. So we're seeing a huge push there. And that's where Zoom and Microsoft are leading the charge when it comes to remote locations, because now everybody's so spread out that you can't have an IT administrator in every location in every branch. It's very costly. So what's nice is with the native application and that native experience, it does make provisioning and management of that system so much easier.
Correct. Okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
that's a great call out. Yep.
Then I do
Okay.
know what I'm talking about.
Yes, you do. Okay, so then moving on. So, but what about those customers that don't want to move to the native experience, right? There are still customers that want an open SIP environment. And lo and behold, we do have phones that can support that as well, and NUWAVE can support that as well. So our Edge E line is one of our newest lines, and it does support open SIP. So it does support open SIP for Microsoft and for Zoom, and even for Google. But to make sure that you're aware, to Travis's point, when it comes to Microsoft specifically, that native voice experience is easier to deploy on the CCX than it is on the Edge, just from an integration and network perspective, but it can be done. And NUWAVE they do have systems engineers that definitely can help your customers deploy an open SIP environment if needed. And Polly, on our end, we do have engineers as well. So we can even team with NUWAVE for your customer and provide some professional services to deploy an open SIP environment if needed.
So if I may ask, what would be the business case? I think you might have addressed it earlier in the question, but I want to make sure I'm on the same page as well. What would be the business case on why I would truly go with an Edge compared to a native? Is there a business case that you've seen within the industry or customers that you've dealt with that says, now we don't want the native, I want the Edge, and this is why I want the Edge?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. One of the biggest questions that comes up is and I'll refer to Zoom in specifically because the Zoom native experience is very feature rich. A lot of customers don't need that much of a feature rich environment for their phone system. Okay. So they may want something more simplistic. So they want to keep it simple, right? So that's where the open SIP model comes into play, because it's easier for them to manage it internally. Maybe their network supports it better. They don't want to leverage all of the features that Zoom has to offer. And that's why it's nice to be able to have both options when it comes to that. Gotcha. So it could be some security concerns, right? Maybe your customer says, you know what? I don't want to go 100% in the cloud with a native experience. I want to be able to still have the ability to manage it in-house somewhat. And that's where that open SIP comes into play. Gotcha.
And then I'm assuming, and I don't want to assume anything, but based on your comment that the native series is more robust application driven wise, and I'm assuming, and I don't want to talk price in a day. The Poly Edges are probably more price competitive compared to the native based on functionality and feature sets. Would that be accurate as well?
Right.
Okay, fair enough. Okay.
Yep, absolutely. All right. Perfect. And same thing with the slide team. So those of you on the call, you'll see here how I've easily broken up the models so that you can take a look at what the use case is. So if you have a common area phone, the 100 or 220 is. What's nice with the Edge line is they are Bluetooth and Wi-Fi enabled. So for those customers that do want that versatility to be able to utilize Bluetooth and or Wi-Fi, we do have those phones that are available for it. The other cool thing with the Edge line is that it does have, it has distress calling available, and I'll get into that in just a minute. So we have made some significant changes and have improved the line holistically based on the needs of our customers. But I don't want to forget about the conference phone. So this is important to remember too. So in those accounts where your customers do need phones, so they need handsets throughout their environment, they may have some office spaces where they want a conference phone. So our Trio C60 is a great IP conference phone that definitely can be deployed either natively or via open SIP as well. So rest assured, for those spaces where your customer does that, they want to be able to take a call in a meeting room, you can leverage a Trio C60 in that room as well.
Perfect.
And this is what I was mentioning, the distress calling. So this is a feature that came actually to us from our Zoom community. So Zoom was in a lot of education accounts, and they needed a phone and a system to support distress calling, which is E911. So in those accounts, and this really should be any account in this day and age that we live, you guys, we really should be talking about safety, public safety. So what we have done on all of our phones, what we could do now is we can actually allow for a specific line key to serve as that distress calling button. And it's a silent alarm. So if there is a perpetrator that enters into the office space, that user can press that button on that pad and it'll make an E911 call directly to the emergency response center, and they can hear what's going on. They're not going to get any type of feedback from that initial call. This way, if there is a perpetrator in the room, they're not going to hear that a 911 call has been initiated. So distress calling is a feature now on all of our lines when it comes to the EDGE, the CCX, and even the Trio C60. It is important to note, though, that on the CCX and the C60, it has to be open SIP. Okay, so that's an open SIP feature to have the distress calling, but it is something that's available.
Okay. And that's really good to know. And the reason why I say that is there are a couple of team members of my colleagues that are sales directors here at the organization. They do very well in the higher ed. So if I'm referring to, not to throw out names, but when we're referring to, University of Massachusetts or Vanderbilt or Santa Clarita, this I think in any higher ed or K through 12, this is, if they're not evaluating this needs to be discussed. And it's unfortunately in the society that we live in today, it's going to be a requirement. Let me rephrase that. In my personal opinion, it should be a requirement on any device sold to those type of vertical markets.
Exactly. And there is already laws in place, right? So for a lot of you partners that do support this SLED space, right? Alyssa's law is a law now that is actually mandated in states where K through 12 schools have to have a distress calling program and protocol in place. You mentioned higher ed. Ray-Bon's Act is another one that does require the E911. So it should be part of all of our conversations. And whether you're calling on a commercial account or an enterprise account, this should be something that you're letting your customers know that this is supported. So it does offer that extra layer of protection, which is great.
So not to call out our competitors based on that, but is it a requirement within your field, within your industry that has to be standard on the devices, or is it if you want it, you can have it, or like us, right? So the carriers and Ray-Bon based on the software, the carrier side, right? We have to adhere to that based on dynamic E911 based on every user. Now, is that the same type of requirement within your industry of the device world for all, like even for you and your competitors?
Great question. So no, it is not a mandate, right? Okay. So that's a differentiator for Poly, to where we can easily assign a line item to a line key to that phone. Perfect. And we can configure it. It can be any of it. But you're right. Not every provider has to have that. But industry as a whole, everybody is leaning that way. So so some of our competitors do have it, but it's not a requirement per se.
But I do like the forward thinking. So that's awesome. So.
Yes, absolutely. It is another great conversation for you as a partner to talk to your customer about, because we talk about security. Well, what about public safety? So then you're covering the whole gamut with them. Yeah. Another phone that we do have is our wireless DECT phone. So this is a DECT IP wireless phone. It is supported by Google, Microsoft, and Zoom, and it does offer zero-touch provisioning as well. But what's nice with the Poly RoVe series is it is a DECT phone. And the reason why it's DECT and not just wireless is because of the security perspective. So when you're talking to your customers and they want a wireless or a cordless phone, the DECT series that we have, this is going to be installed, and it is definitely lays on within their network. So it's going to have to be able to work with their internal Wi-Fi system, because that is where that layer of security comes into play. It's not going to go out to a Wi-Fi bridge like your cellular phone does. It's going to be housed within that customer's network, which is great because it helps with the security aspect for that business. But we do have a whole line of wireless phones that can support your customer when it comes to that. And we have a lot of this in retail. So a lot of our retail customers have the Rove system. Healthcare is another one. What's really nice with the Poly Rove 40 that's being shown here is at the top of that phone, there's a panic button where they can actually press an emergency button if they need to get to E911 really quickly. So once again, all of the phones, they all have specific use cases, but we do have phones that can fit those needs of the customer.
Well, and as I'm looking at this as a layman individual, right? Let's say I know how to use technology. I know how to sell technology, not necessarily use technology. What I do like about the 20 and the 30 and the 40, you as HP Poly have already laid it out for us, right? It's simplified. This is for small business. This is for warehouse. This is for healthcare. So when we're presenting this and the channel's presenting this to their opportunities, it's very self-explanatory, just like you guys have done on the CCX products as well.
Exactly. Yep. Making it easy for you to be able to communicate and tell the story. And then we can, because the customer isn't going to need, they may not need, all of their users may not need a Poly Rove 40. Right. There may be a specific business unit that does. If you look at this from a K through 12 perspective, all of the classrooms should have a desk phone. But when that teacher goes to the recess, goes to recess with their students, they may want to have a Poly Rove that they can add to their belt or carry with them in case they need to make an emergency call.
Exactly.
Right.
Awesome.
So,
yeah.
Yep. So you're absolutely correct. And then what I'm going to do now is shift gears, and we're going to talk about our headsets. And this is an area that is really dear to me because I used to be a seller just like you all. So I lived in the partner community. I carried a bag and I called on customers here in the Southwest. And one thing that I am ashamed to admit, but I didn't include headsets in my voice discussion because I was all zeroed in on what handset do you need for your desk? How many knowledge workers need a desk phone or a cordless phone? But the headset is the gift that keeps on giving. So now with unified communications going into the cloud, everybody can access a call via the soft client. Right? And the soft client basically is your desktop. You could take a call from your PC now. You could take a call from your cell phone. Well, what if you're in a noisy environment? You're in an airport. You're at a Starbucks. You're at your child's school activity or at practice, and you have to take that business call. Well, if you are utilizing a headset, that is going to provide you the best user experience because what will happen is once you make that call, let's say from your cell phone, and you're using one of our Poly headsets and you take that call, the end user that is on the line isn't going to hear any of that background noise that could be happening around you. So you can confidently take those important calls from your headset and rest assured that you're going to be heard clearly and you are going to actually not only be heard, but the end user will actually hear you clearly as well and vice versa. So we do have a series of Poly headsets. We do have a lot of different types of styles, but I think the net of what you're seeing today is that we have different types for different users. So going back to my statement of there's a lot of different types of knowledge workers within a business, not every knowledge worker is going to need a wireless headset. Your executives may be the ones that need the wireless headset. But you got contact center agents. They're going to want a wired headset. So we do have different types of headsets for those users. But the main point with our headsets is that once you are able to sell headsets into your accounts, your customers are going to continuously order them. So it's ongoing run rates that you don't even have to manage or maintain. They're going to automatically order it. So it's almost like the icing on the cake for your deals, right?
Yeah.
I think that's great. Made it pretty easy here, right, to understand which wearing style fits a specific need. But once again, bring in the Poly experts to help position the headsets and give samples for your customers. And then we just released a new headset. We announced this at ISE and as well as channel partners, is our HP Poly Mission headset. So this is our new black wired headset. It is certified for contact center as well as all of our UCaaS providers within Zoom and Microsoft and Google. But what's really nice with our Mission series is we have made it much more simplistic, because in the past, Poly has historically been a headset provider, a world-class headset manufacturer. Well, we've had so many models, you guys. Like, I can't even keep them all straight, to be honest. So what we're moving towards now that we're part of HP is to simplify the portfolio. So you as a seller know, okay, my customer needs a wired headset. This is the Mission family headset. There's 3 types. So we're not going to have 5 or 6 types of wired headsets anymore. We're going to make it much more simple. We're going to have 3 types and think of them as good, better, and best. And I'm not going to read what's off the slide. I know that you all can read, but you'll see that each one of those series, they do come either with a dual headset where you have both ears or just one ear. So we're making it very simple for you guys to be able to position the headset. But these are great for contact center use cases. And I'm telling you, every organization has a contact center. So lots of times we think of contact center as being a robust, hundreds of agents in one area taking call after call, inbound call. But there's not. There could be an organization that has a help desk, right? There's IT folks that manage a help desk. There could be a school that has an admissions team that's taking inbound calls of students. So think outside the box when you're talking to your customers about the need for headsets within their organization. Are there teams that are making continuous calls one after the other or taking inbound calls? And with our Mission headsets, a couple of highlights, what changes we've made. We have listened to our customers. So lots of our customers have said historically our headsets that were round in the ear, they created these hot spots where if you were wearing earrings or you were sensitive on your earlobe, it would cause a little bit of pain when you're wearing it hour after hour. So we changed the ear cushion to be oblong, like your ear is. So now it sits more comfortably on the ear. So that was a huge plus that our customers had given us feedback. The other thing is the indicator light on the headset is much more noticeable. So you'll know when you're on a call. So if you're on a call, it's going to be green. So your surrounding colleagues know you're on a call, so they're not going to interrupt you. So we've made that change. The other changes that we made to it is we have this nice inline controller design where it's more elevated so that when you're not going to make accidental hangups on the call. So you're going to be able to fill that button and you're going to have to basically press it pretty hard to hang up that call. So you're not going to have hangups or disconnects like we had in the past. So there is some great features that we've increased and made changes to. The other changes that we made is we have replaceable ear cushions and headbands, which is huge, which is a money saver for your customers. So think of the return on investment. So your customers may say, hey, you know what? I have new employees starting and they need a new headset, but maybe the headband broke or it's worn off. We can replace those pieces as opposed to the whole entire headset. So we made changes from a sustainability perspective because it also helps our environment when we can have replaceable pieces like that. So that's the quick overview of the new Mission headset. What I would like to do now, Travis, is just go through some use cases.
That would be awesome. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Absolutely.
So what you're seeing here is when you're talking to your customers and you're talking about their UC environment, and they've told you, hey, you know what? I'm now going to be moving to Microsoft, and I need to talk about what phones are supported. Well, we know Poly is certified to run on Microsoft. That's great. Mr. Customer, tell me about your environment. What do you have as far as a knowledge worker base? So you'll see here is a great example of a typical organization where there could be a warehouse, there could be an administrative desk, there could be a small contact center, and there could be some meeting rooms. Well, look here, you can actually have a phone in every one of these environments, as well as a headset to support those customers and what their business uses are. So keep that in mind, that when your customer says, oh, you know what, I think I need 100 phones. Okay, well, let's talk about your environment. And that's where the magic happens with you as an integrator and a partner to work with NUWAVE, is to determine what are those use cases. And then you can easily refer to this chart and see which phone would fit that specific use case. Yeah.
I like that deck. That's nice.
So that's so easy to read. Yeah. And you can share it with your customer too. And what's also nice is we have a use case for a hybrid worker. So then you ask your customer, great, we've tackled your knowledge base within your organization. What about remote workers? Tell me about your executives that may be coming and going from home to the office, or you may have some employees that share or they do hot desking, where they're at home for 2 days and then they come into the office 3 days a week, but they're not really assigned a cubicle per se because it's a shared space. That's a great use for hot desking, because they're going to want a headset to be able to bring to work so they can use it at that site, right? And our phones support all of the features that Zoom and Microsoft have, from a hot desking or Microsoft Places, workspace reservation, are the solutions that they provide, where as an employee, let's say I'm utilizing Zoom and I want to go to my desk and I'm going to reserve a desk for the day, I can easily automatically pair my headset to that phone. And guess what? That phone is going to know that I'm the user because I've reserved it under my name. And when I go to that phone and I scan the QR code, all of my messages are going to pop up on that phone automatically. And that's the power of the Zoom solution with the device. And then when I leave for the day and I disconnect my headset from that hot desk, all of that information goes away. So Zoom knows, hey, I've left for the day. So then that desk becomes swiped clean for the next user.
Well, and you refer to the hybrid workplace, right? Especially after COVID, I would say over the net, and you probably know better than I, but talking with our customers, our prospects, our channel, I've really seen a hybrid shift over the last 6 to 8 months, where people are going in at least 2 or 3 days out of the week into an office environment, and then they're allowing the colleagues to work from home on Mondays and Fridays. So I see a lot of the hybrid workforce being more in effect, which this right here would be ideal for them. So.
Yep, absolutely. Well, yeah, so that's a great point. And you're absolutely right. Here at HP, we've mandated that if you do live within 50 miles of an office, you have to go into the office at least 3 days a week, right?
Okay.
I mean, companies spend a lot of money on these office spaces, right?
Yeah, and they're stuck in leases. They're not getting out of those leases, COVID or no COVID.
No,
you're stuck in those leases. Yeah,
absolutely. So that's a great question, for you to ask your customers. Tell me about your commercial space as an organization. How many of those spaces do you have? So what's in it for you? So this is the exciting part, is as a partner of NUWAVE, and since it extends out to HP, there are some great things that we can provide. But I'm going to turn it over to you, Travis, to talk about the hardware as a service, because I know this is something that you're excited to talk about.
I really am. And so for those that don't know, we have partnered up with Great America Financial. We're extremely excited about this business opportunity. And a lot of people are familiar with them. They've been around forever. They've done hardware rental programs and leases for years on end. But a big piece of our puzzle that we've missed here at NUWAVE is, people are not wanting to pay CapEx for devices, right? They want to, and really it's kind of like, and I use this analogy and people don't like it, but it's kind of like, do we ever really own a car? We don't. So that's why we have leases, and then we upgrade and we do this. So under this program with our partnership is we now, as NUWAVE, on behalf of Great America Financial, in partnership with, we can now provide OpEx on any devices sold from us as NUWAVE. So instead of a customer, matter of fact, I was working on a bid the other day. It's about $120,000 worth of hardware devices. I then came in and I matched our term of contract at 36 months. So it came in at a monthly expenditure instead of them writing me a check for 120 grand. This is brand new to us. It's been put in place for the last 60, 90 days. Once again, we're extremely excited. Once again, payment schedules, terms, billing. But I do want to keep something very transparent. We as NUWAVE, we're not holding the paper. It is contracted directly with Great America. They are our partner, but that should not be any downside. We've already vetted them out, and they're industry standard. They're a leader within the industry. But we're very excited now. Long story long, no more CapEx, guys. Let's go after OpEx, and let's use our partnership with Great America Financial. We just did a press release on LinkedIn, if I'm not mistaken, and we'll continue to promote that partnership with Great America. So if you guys have any questions, definitely reach out to your sales directors. You can reach out to me directly or Angela Branton to address any questions when it comes to hardware as a service. So it's a great tool. We've been looking at this for some time, and we finally pulled the trigger, and we're seeing success. We're seeing the pipeline increase, and this should be across the channel. Then everybody should be utilizing this program.
That's exciting. Very exciting here, because we have a lot of customers that do want some leasing options, right? They definitely want that. So I'm excited to see that and hear that you're definitely partnering with Great American, because it's a really good fit.
Yeah. So keep in mind though, we're going to label this as a rental. Okay. So it's not a lease, but it is a rental program. But we can also use this rental program to support tech refreshes, which our channel should probably have seen this. If you're not following us on LinkedIn, please do so. Ricky and his team, my chief marketing officer, put together a great LinkedIn post yesterday about some products that are being discontinued. Let's look at it. So during this term of contract, then we can do tech updates, refreshes, and you're always up to the latest and greatest under that rental program, which is great. Now, there was a great question that just came in, Denise, that I would like to see if we can address. Our channel is asking, do we have options for hardware warranty that aligns with Great America rental terms? Now, I'm going to talk about the Great America side. So with Great America, we can do anywhere from a 12-month rental to a 60-month rental. So how does your warranties align with that? Can you do that type of term, or is it like 12 months, 24, 36 only? What does that look like?
Great question. Great question. So the short answer is yes, we can align with those rental timelines that you're wanting to target. That's not a problem. So we definitely can do that. So what we do is on the Poly side, we do have a standard warranty on all of our devices, which is good for about 90 days, 90 to almost a year, depending on the device. And then you can get what we call like an extended service support. And that is something that you as NUWAVE, Travis, you would be able to actually build that into the proposal, which is great. So yes, so we've got 1-year terms. We could do 2 years. We could do 3 years. So we could definitely work with you on that.
Okay. And there was another great question that came in from Nathan. Nathan, it's always a pleasure to see you. Thank you for joining us today, one of our Canadian business partners. But yes, to address your question, yes, we do support device as a service within North America and Canada. It is not currently supported out of country at all. So Europe or Australia or that type, it's only in North America and Canada. But great question, Nathan. Thank you for asking that.
Perfect. And then this slide here, I'm not sure, Travis, if you want to speak to this. This just talks about the managed services motion.
Yeah, so the process when we're using Great America, we've streamlined this. So Angela Branton has done a brilliant job working with the internal teams of Great America to make this as smooth process as possible. So really, what we do as all of our sales directors do, my colleagues, we have that discovery, the assessment, the pricing, the generating of quotes. We go through the credit approval process. Now, keep in mind that the credit approval process is coming from Great America. So we're not running credit approval. Great America do that through a very simplified document. At that point in time, contracts are generated based on credit scores. So And then they're contracting directly with Great America. They're doing the going back and forth of signatures from Great America to, let's say, ABC Co. And then at that point in time, once we get all those approvals, we as NUWAVE will then prepare the delivery of the product to wherever it needs to go. So Angela and I have worked very closely on a new service agreement to help, because what we have found is maybe the delivery, maybe I have 100 devices going to Austin, Texas, but I have 200 devices going to New York, and I got 100 devices going to California. So we break those out based on model, address. We also all the way down to who is going to sign for this. So it is requirement for someone to be able to sign at the office for delivery. And then once those have been delivered, and they receive that acceptance, or we receive that acceptance, we then transition that over to Great America. And at that point in time, they start working with you on when your billing will physically start based on the monthly recurring cost association. So very streamlined. And then during this process, if there's any, and I use this term all the time, and don't laugh, get your gotchas during this process. Angela will step in to assist. She heads up, once again, our entire device department. So she is there to assist for the smoothest transition possible to support the sales directors on the selling of the side of the house, if that makes sense. So very, very smooth process, very strategic process. And we spent a lot of time and effort, or let me rephrase this, Angela spent a lot of time and effort working with Great America to make this as seamless as possible for us.
Great. That's exciting. Yeah,
thank you.
Because you'll have lots of customers that'll leverage that. And Great America is a great technology partner to work with. So well
absolutely
done.
Thank you.
So I just want to close out with a couple things. So one thing that you have access to as a partner and as a partner of NUWAVE is we have HP customer welcome centers across the US. So you'll see them there listed in California, Texas, New York, and in Virginia. And these technology welcome centers are a great way for you to bring your customers to. So if you have a customer that is interested in, let's say, moving to Microsoft, or they are interested in the Microsoft running on Teams phones that are certified by HP Poly, you can actually reach out to me and I can arrange for either a virtual tour or an in-person, and we can host you and your customers at these locations where they can actually touch and feel and see the product live in action, which is great.
Oh, awesome.
Which is so wonderful. And there's no cost to this, you guys. So you can leverage this at any time. What's really exciting about this, and I've seen this happen, is if you bring a customer to our CWC or a virtual session and they get to see and experience the technology live, that has an 85% closing ratio. So customers will see it and be like, oh my gosh, you know what? I'm going to place my order. So you got to leverage that as part of your sales cycle initiative, where it makes sense. But we're always happy to team with you and to support you in any way possible. And like I mentioned, we have engineers. I have engineers on my team that are dedicated to Microsoft, that are dedicated to Zoom. So they can work with NUWAVE and with yourself to be able to have a holistic conversation with your customer end to end about how we can help them utilize and reach that goal of improving their customer experience, both internally and externally.
You know, that Denise, I might lean on you for that. Obviously, I live here in Austin, Texas, for those that don't know that. But I might take a visit down there. I'd like to see what that experience looks like. So I'll get with you in the next week or so, but I might be your guinea pig. I'm going to go check it out if you'll allow me to do so.
Oh, absolutely. I would love to. Yeah,
perfect.
Would love to.
Thank you.
Yeah, perfect.
Awesome.
Well, that's all I had.
Man, look at you just go. That was awesome. That was an amazing overview, very thorough, detailed. I hope our channel appreciates it. So, and once again, Denise, you and I and Angela work a lot together, but we truly value this partnership, this opportunity. I have certain sales goals because that's my position here at the organization, and we're leveraging Poly for this with Great America to really drive that revenue. But I do want to keep the floor open just for a minute or so to see if anybody else has any questions. But to close out, if you have any questions concerning Poly, Great America Financial, please reach out to your sales directors, your assigned sales directors. You should know who they are. If you don't, you can reach out to me directly. And then obviously when we pull in opportunities, just like we do now, we support the opportunities on the software side. We'll pull in the proper channels. Angela will be a part of those conversations to help scope. She's phenomenal what she does. So we want to leverage her skill set, just like we use my colleagues within the MSP channel and the carrier channel. But I do want to take a moment. Everybody that stayed on with us, I truly appreciate the time. Denise, phenomenal job. Thank you as always. But I don't think we have any other questions. So we're gonna close it out. And I hope that everybody has a phenomenal afternoon. And thank you again for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for the partnership. Look forward to working with everybody.
All right, Denise.
Thanks.
All right, team. Everybody have a great day. Thank you.
Bye.